And then he said the words that broke me forever. You think you are the only one who deserves a good woman. I used to think things like this only happen in movies, but it happened to me in my own house. I built my life around a woman, and she took everything from me, including my own blood. I met her when I was 29, and from the first moment I saw her, I knew there was something different about her. She was the most beautiful woman I had ever laid eyes on, elegant, graceful, with a soft voice that could calm even the stormiest of days. She had this presence, a kind of peace that made you feel safe just by being near her. Her eyes shone with warmth, her smile was sincere, and her devotion to her faith was something I admired deeply. She would pray quietly and sincerely, her voice rising and falling with each word, as if she were in direct conversation with the heavens. She was perfect, or at least that's what I thought. She didn't ask for much, never made demands, never raised her voice. She was always content, always patient, and always there for me. We spent hours together, talking about life, dreams, and everything in between. After a year of dating, I knew she was the one. She was more than just a woman. I thought she was a blessing, a gift that had been sent just for me. I felt like I had won the lottery. At the time, I was doing well for myself. I had inherited 3 petroleum stations and a construction company from my late uncle, a man who had been both a mentor and a father figure to me. I was financially stable, and I thought that was enough. I thought providing for my family, showering my wife with luxury would be enough to keep her happy. We got married shortly after, and I was overjoyed. I was so proud to call her my wife, and I thought I had built the perfect life. My family loved her, especially my father. I thought everything was perfect, that nothing could ever go wrong. And we built a family, a beautiful one, with 5 kids, each one a little miracle, each one a reminder of the love my wife and I shared. But I had no idea what was happening beneath the surface. While I was working, always working, expanding the business, traveling, and signing new deals, she was changing. Slowly, almost imperceptibly, she began to slip away from me. I remember the first time I noticed something was off. It was subtle. At first, my father, once so eager to speak with me, began pulling away. He stopped calling as frequently, and when he did, his tone had changed. He wasn't as warm, as engaged. Sometimes I'd come home after a long trip to find him sitting in the living room with my wife, laughing, talking, looking far too comfortable together. But whenever I asked her about it, she would brush it off. "Isn't he your father? What's wrong with him being here?" she'd say. I told myself I was overthinking it. After all, he was my father. Why would I ever suspect anything? The changes continued to mount, but I stayed blind to them. My love for her clouded my judgment. Then came the day I returned from a business trip to find out she had been made the acting CEO of my company. I was stunned. "Your father insisted on it," she explained, her voice calm, her smile unwavering. "He said it would help with the family succession plan." I didn't know what to say. I was confused, but I trusted her. I trusted my father. So, when I called him to ask about it, he simply said, "You trust her, don't you?" And I said, "Yes." That was my biggest mistake. A few weeks later, I returned to the office to find that all of my executive powers had been revoked. My name was no longer on any important document, and when I tried to access the company funds, I found myself locked out. I was pushed to the side, treated like an outsider in my own company. Everyone, employees and board members alike, began reporting to her, my own wife. I tried to tell myself it was temporary, that things would get better, but they didn't. Then came the day I learned the truth. My youngest son needed a blood transfusion. The doctor asked me to come in for matching. "Are you sure you're the father?" the doctor asked, his brow furrowing with concern. I was shocked. "Of course I am," I replied, but the doctor's face didn't change. "It can't be," he said quietly. Your blood type doesn't match. This isn't a one-off, it's genetic. I insisted on testing all of my children. The results hit me like a freight train. Only 2 of the 5 children were mine. I felt the blood drain from my face as my world began to crumble. My heart stopped. I couldn't breathe. I cried. I cried harder than I had ever cried in my life. I confronted my wife, and to my horror, she didn't deny it. She looked me straight in the eyes and said, "What are you going to do? You gave me everything. I only did what I had to do to survive in a man's world." I thought I would lose my mind. The woman I had loved, the mother of my children, had betrayed me in the most unimaginable way. But it didn't end there. I ran to my father. I needed someone to help me understand. When I told him what had happened, he just sat there, silent. And then he said the words that broke me forever. "You think you're the only one who deserves a good woman." It was then that the pieces fell into place. The late night meetings, the long conversations, the fact that my children looked more like him than me. My father had been sleeping with my wife. My own blood had betrayed me in the worst way possible. I couldn't breathe. I couldn't think. I ran out of his house and collapsed on the stairs. I spent days in a hotel, alone with my thoughts, my pain, and my broken heart. And then the letter came. It was a legal letter, stamped and official. It informed me that I had been removed as a board member from my own company. She had taken over everything. She had frozen my business account, blocked my access to the house, and even changed my children's school. My own father had backed her. The final blow came when he invited me to a meeting. Just the 3 of us. He looked at me and said, "You're smart, you'll recover, but you have to let her go. I want to marry her." He dropped an envelope in front of me. Inside was a check for 50 million naira. "Take it," he said. "Walk away. If you don't, you'll leave with nothing." I looked at her. She didn't even blink. She sat there like a queen, unmoved. That night, I almost ended it all. The pain was unbearable. The person I had loved, trusted, betrayed me.